In this video, we'll learn how to work with security groups in the AWS console. And so here you can see I am currently at the AWS console, and under the VPC dashboard, I've gone to security groups. And so under security groups, you can see all of the existing security groups that I have. And I'm just going to click on this first one here called default. This is the security group that's automatically created when I create my VPC. And so this is actually going to have one rule inbound. This is controlling traffic inbound. And it's basically allowing all traffic as long as it originates from something else that's in this same security group. So this security group is going to be the default for the VPC, and by default, it's going to allow everything else in the VPC that also has this security group to communicate with each other. And from an outbound rules perspective, you can see here it is allowing all traffic to anywhere outbound. That's the basic setup of a security group. They're going to allow everything outbound. And the reason that they do this is because we're dealing with a stateful firewall. So for example, let's imagine this EC2 instance wants to send traffic out to the internet. Well, the security group is going to allow that outbound traffic. And even if it's the default security group that we've been looking at so far, that security group allowed everything outbound. Inbound, it only allowed traffic within the security group. But we want the internet to work. So this is some traffic that is going to the internet. And as a result, there's going to be some kind of response traffic back. The security group, even though it doesn't have a rule allowing that, it is going to allow it because the security group is a stateful firewall. So by just allowing all outbound, we're allowing these instances to connect to whatever they want and to also get the return traffic back from those things that they are connecting to. So that's one of the security groups I have here. The other security group you can see is called Launch Wizard 1. So I created this security group when I created an EC2 instance. Sometimes you'll be prompted to create a security group when you create other resources within AWS. And one of those situations is when you create an EC2 instance. So when I created my Bastion host, my public Windows instance, I created this security group. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to quickly rename this security group. I'm going to call it Bastion host. So this is the security group that is applied to my Windows server in my public subnet. And if you watched that lesson, you saw that we allowed remote desktop traffic inbound from anywhere. And just like the other security group, we are allowing everything outbound. So the only inbound traffic that's being allowed is RDP. Okay, so that's a quick look at two of our existing security groups. Let's create a new one. And so for this situation, let's imagine that we have a database server that is going to exist in my private subnet. And I only want to allow a certain type of traffic here. I want to allow database traffic in from this EC2 instance. And I want to basically allow everything out. But I want to block everything else inbound, right? So this database server should only be allowing database relevant traffic from this EC2 instance. So let's set up that security group. So I'm just going to click Create Security Group. I'm going to call it DemoDB. This is going to be in my RIC demo VPC. And you can see here the default outbound rule is going to allow everything outbound. And I'm just going to allow everything outbound to anywhere. That's fine. What I'm really concerned with here is the inbound rules. So when I create a new inbound rule, there's all kinds of built-in services here that I can choose from. So for example, maybe this is a Postgres database, or maybe it's Microsoft SQL, or whatever, right? I can pick individual services from this list based on the type of traffic that I want to allow. So let's just go with Microsoft SQL, right? We're going to open up traffic from port 1433. And where are we going to allow that inbound traffic to come from? Well, I could allow traffic from a specific IP address. So I could look up the private IP address of my public Windows EC2 instance. I could copy that, and I could just reference that in my security group. And here's what that would look like. I would reference this one specific IP address. So I could allow traffic from one specific IP address, or I could allow traffic from a range of IP addresses. For example, 10.1.101.0/24. I could allow it from a specific CIDR block, or I could allow this traffic incoming from anywhere, from all addresses. Now, there's another option that I can choose from here, and this is an option that I like to use within AWS security groups. I am not going to choose a range of IP addresses. I'm going to choose a security group. And look at this. We've got a security group here that I've labeled Bastion host. This is a security group that my Bastion host is a member of, that my Bastion host is using. I could select that security group. And so in essence, what I've just done is I've said in this security group, allow inbound traffic from any interfaces that are connected to the Bastion host security group. And I might have other EC2 instances. Maybe I have multiple Bastion hosts. Whatever the case may be, if anything is connected to this particular security group, it's going to be allowed to send MS SQL traffic into this security group. And so managing this using those security groups can be a really scalable and straightforward way to manage your security group rules. All right, and so now I could just click Create Security Group. I'm actually not going to bother doing that. I'm just going to cancel it. And I want to show you a couple more quick things here. I want to show you, number one, if we go into any of these security groups and we go into the rules and we edit them, notice that there's nothing that says allow or deny or anything like that. All of my security group rules for every security group are going to be allow rules. There's no such thing as a deny rule within a security group. And you don't see it here, but at the end of each of these sets of rules, there is what we call an implicit deny all. So for example, for our default security group, we're allowing all inbound traffic from this security group. Everything else is denied. There's an implicit deny all at the end here. So that's what you want to think of when you design these security groups is everything is denied. I'm going to open up the holes that I need to open up. I'm going to allow the specific types of traffic that should be allowed, and by default, everything else is denied. So there are only allow rules in a security group. And because of that, the order that I put the rules in does not matter. This isn't like a network ACL where the order of the rules is really important. The order of the rules is important in a network ACL because I have to make sure that my allow and my deny statements are happening in the correct sequence. But there are no deny statements in a security group. So we don't really care about the order of these rules. And the last thing I want to look at before we wrap this up, let's go back to EC2 here. Let's pick one of my EC2 instances. And I just wanted to show you, you can grab an instance, you can go to Actions, and under Security, you can change the security groups associated with your EC2 instance. And you can see here, this instance only has one Elastic Network interface. When I change the security groups here, I am changing them for this specific interface. Now, this particular EC2 instance is associated with two different security groups, my default security group and my bastion host security group. What that means is that if an instance has multiple security groups, it gets all of the allow statements in all of those security groups. So these security groups do not conflict with each other. The rules don't conflict or contradict each other in any way because each security group is just a set of allow rules. And so if an interface has multiple security groups, they get all of the allow rules combined in both of those security groups.